Sure.
Hello, everybody. This is Louise Eddington with Utah for Bernie Sanders. And today I have with me Peter Tomala, who is running, did I say it right?
You did. You totally nailed it.
Who I didn't check that. Who is running for House District 33 here in Utah. So, hi, Peter.
Hello, Louise. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, you're welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to be running for House Representative.
Yeah, for me, it was something that it wasn't so much of a long journey. I think as a lot of people in our communities, especially in our area, that were apathetic or disengaged. Very, very similar story to myself. And I think there just came a point over this last year that frustration and that want becomes too much, and you eventually, you put yourself forward and you decide to run for office. And wasn't one moment, but it's through all of these conversations that you have with your neighbors, with your family and your friends, and everyone agrees that there needed to be a change. You need to be able to challenge what was happening currently and really provide a voice to the entire community, not just parts of it. And when you have those conversations, it usually ends with, great, cool, let's do it. And then you stop. And you ask yourself the questions, if it's not you, who is it? And if it's not now, when? And I really didn't have answers to both of those questions. So I decided to step forward and run for office. And this is something that we just want to be able to stand up for everyone in our community and be able to provide that voice. Mm-hmm. And our message in a general sense is being able to challenge the status quo. And that doesn't mean just pushing back against the one-party monopoly that we have in our state. It's not just providing someone that's a millennial up there in the office up on Hill. It's also just this general idea that you need to have representation that looks and feels and talks like your community. Mm-hmm. And when we lose sight of that, when we lose sight of what you're actually going to bat for, which is your neighbors and your community and the issues that are affecting them, I think that's where we have our problem. And so that pushes us forward. We're looking forward to talking more with our community and really standing up for those issues that are important to them. If we get into issues, we're happy to have that conversation. But, we just felt like there needed to be a change and there needed to be more of a balance in our state government.
Oh, I totally agree. So who's we when you say we?
Our campaign, when
your campaign.
Yeah, our campaign. And I think we as people in terms of Democrats, we as people that want to have this thing called common sense, we as people that are not part of the establishment, are not part of the state that is doing well. And there is a lot, don't get me wrong, there's a number of people in the state that are doing well, and we should take pride in that. But that's not everybody. This last year, the Senate president came out and said that they didn't really have to do anything this year, because other than a budget, that's all they needed to get accomplished. Oh. And that they're really there's problems out there that they're trying to solve. But, and verbatim, his quote was that the status quo isn't all that bad. That was his exact quote. And what I will say to that is, when we have hundreds of people in our community that have died over the last few years because of a lack of affordable health care and because of our poisonous air, they don't get to have their voice anymore. When you have people in our community that can't afford health care, that can't afford the education they deserve, that have to work 2 to 3 jobs just to make ends meet, that status quo isn't working for everybody. And in the paradigm and the relationship that we have right now in our government, there's a lot of people that are doing well. But for our community and our district, that isn't everybody. And I think we need to fight for those people.
I agree completely. That's why I do what I do on the Utah for Bernie Sanders campaign. Because, I'm probably one of the privileged, really, but I care about others, I don't want to sit on an ivory tower and not help people. That's
sure.
So it would be fabulous to see a more balanced legislature in the state, for sure. The Democrats are very underrepresented in the legislature. So you mentioned some of your issues that you support. Which ones are you most passionate about?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it, there's a couple of them, and it really stems down to, for our community, it comes into jobs, a livable wage, and being able to provide for your family and be able to pay your bills. Factors that go into that is obviously healthcare. It's one of the top issues we hear in our community. We have a large percentage of the entire Medicaid gap is in our district. It's around 7 or 8% of our district is in the entire Medicaid gap in the entire state. So if you're not fighting every day for full Medicaid expansion, you're not listening to the community, because it's the issues that we're facing. Obviously, education, we know the problems that we have with education in the state, with education funding, with a shortage of teachers, with actually being able to pay our teachers enough money for them to have a livable income to go off of, affordable education and higher education, right? Where we have too many of our students that have gone to higher education, have gone to college, were promised this better life, then you graduate and you take a similar job that you were, and you're straddled in debt, right? We need to make that higher education more affordable. So education, jobs, the environment is big, right? Here in Utah, we have the most gorgeous scenery in the entire country, maybe in the entire world. And I don't want to see that sold off for corruption. And I don't want to have our community continue to have to go outside in the winter and wear a mask or hold kids inside for recess. That's not what our kids should have to go through. We need to be able to have the political courage to clean our air. This shouldn't be a political issue, but unfortunately it is. And so you hear those issues, you hear what's going on in your community. And if every day that you wake up, you're not fighting for those, once again, I don't know what our priorities are. You see it in our budgets, you see it in the laws that we pass, but the problems we face haven't been addressed. And that's why you see this movement occurring.
Yeah, I agree. It is a movement. That's what it is. And I believe there's, I can't remember how many new Democratic candidates running for House. Is quite a few now. I'm not sure on the number, but I think what you saw in terms of caucus night, right? In terms of the outreach that you had from Republicans and unaffiliated and Democrats that turned out in droves. And a big part of that is being able to keep that momentum and say that your voice does matter. When we feel powerless, when we feel like we can't make change, that's when we don't vote. That's when we don't register to vote, and that's when we don't turn out to vote. And it's that energy that we need to capitalize off of to let everybody know that you are in control, right? It is the people that make up the government. It's the progress and the changes within us all. And we need to be able to put ourselves as a top priority, nothing else, and then reflect those ideas, reflect those feelings, and have that show in our government. Yeah. I do love that you said we at the first, because obviously I run Utah for Bernie Sanders now, and he's all about we, and he says that all the time in his stump speeches. Yeah, are you a fan of Bernie Sanders? Yeah, absolutely. And in the we part, right? You talk about what Bernie Sanders does with we, and that's what this is about. Yeah. This isn't about me. People will always ask me, well, what do you stand for? What's your background? What do you do? And I'm actually happy to have those conversations with people, let you know where I come from, what I believe in, and the issues that are important to me. But first and foremost, as a priority for a state representative, you represent people. It's not you speaking for 24,000 people. It's 24,000 people speaking through you. And you need to reflect the ideas of the people. You need to go to bat for what people are actually caring about, what they want to see in their community. It's not you. You don't get a golden ticket after you're elected, and everything that you believe in, and everything that you want to see in your world, that's what goes. No, you have to still remember who you walk with. You have to remember who you live with, and you have to remember who makes up your community. And when we lose sight of that, you get the government you deserve, and that's what we have right now, is when you're not engaged with your public, you get the laws that you see. And that's what we're standing up for. Awesome. Now, none of this will happen, unfortunately, the way our system's set up, without quite a good deal of funding. So I'd like to tell people that I will be putting your Act Blue fundraising link below the video, but it's Vote Tomala, basically, at Act Blue, if people want to find it. And also your website, votepetertomala.com, and you have a Facebook page as well, named the same thing. I like that they're all named the same thing. That's very useful. Try to. But is there anywhere else people can find you? Are you on Twitter or any of those for those? Yeah, we have an Instagram. It's just Pete Tomala. So it's my first name, Pete, and then Tomala on Instagram. But our primary uses that we're doing right now is our Facebook. And then we're continuing to add to our website. And, we appreciate anything and everything in terms of donations, in terms of support. You mentioned it, right, Luis, in terms of what needs to happen to have change. And you talk about the money thing, and you talk about the support thing. Everyone that we're running at,
regardless of where the Democrats are running, or if you're an independent, wherever you're running in the state, you're going against this machine, right? That has tons of money, tons of special interest money. They fund each other and they keep themselves in control and the power. We're never going to outraise, we're never going to out fundraise our opponents, any of the Democrats here that are in our areas. But what we can do is take these small donations from people in our community, from our family, from our friends, people that share the same message, and that'll get us by. That allows us to have that message out. And really, we're a volunteer organization, we're grassroots, and that's how change has to happen. And that's how we push back. So, I mean, I care more really that we've had those $5, $10 donations, and those mean the world to me, because I know for those people, that's all they have. And I'm humbled by it. We'll take the 25, the 100, the $200 donations, and they needed to keep us sustaining. But at the end of the day, it's the people that make up our campaign. This is a we movement. This isn't about me. And that's what I think we need to have happen to actually bring about change.
I totally agree. In fact, I would be a big fan of publicly funded elections.
Yes, sure.
So there wasn't this money battle as well, because I know that the Republican incumbent in my district spent $100,000 in 2014 to get it. And
you see that trend, right, Louise? You're going to see a trend of more money. Like every cycle that we get, people don't spend less, right? Campaigns get more and more expensive. And so it really starts to squeeze out middle-class people, working-class people out of the process, because what you have are these big donors that come in, provide all this money. And it's not that our message can't get out for many of the campaigns here locally. It's just that when you buy that control and that power and you flood the area, it can appear that a lot of people are working for your best interest because you have the money, right? And you flood everywhere and you tell everyone you're doing such a good job. But when you break down the issues, when you break down the budgets, when you break down the bills that are being proposed, when you actually are transparent in what happens, you can see that there is a better way forward. And you can see that balance is what we need here in Utah. So I encourage people to get involved. It's what we need to bring about change here in the state.
It is, and that's why I'm a delegate and applied to be a national delegate. Because
I know we're excited about that. That's great.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Oh, there's 1,000 things that I think that I could say. I could talk, and we could have a conversation for the next few hours. But you know what? That doesn't make
attention spans.
Yeah, but we probably lost like half the crowd already, and if someone's still there, thank you for still continuing on in this journey with us. No, I mean, I'll just say, please look us up. Please get involved if you're able to. When I started with, if it's not you, who is it? If it's not now, when is it? And I will say this is our year to do it. 2016 is our best shot to have some representation up there that reflects a diversity of opinions, that looks and feels and talks like our communities. I challenge everyone that's still listening to this and watching this to get involved. I mean, this is our time. And we would love to have your support.
Awesome. And just to let the viewers know that the Utah for Bernie Sanders YouTube page is where you will find all these videos. Obviously, I'll share them on the page, and I'll be sharing it with Peter so he can share it on his own page.
Great.
But thanks for letting me do this.
Thanks, Louise. I appreciate the time.